And we're back. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Paranormal Weekend Morning Brew Show, Saturday edition. Hope you got your coffee or whatever you want to drink, as long as it's legal in all 50 states, in all 195 countries. So, that being said, let's get right to it here. The copyright disclaimer: this channel may materials without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the Fair Use Act. Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel and all the podcasts on the channel do declare fair use of any and all content, that's any and all content, to be used for the sole purpose of informing you, the viewing family, of information for educational purposes, criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, and parody, and general knowledge only, per Title 17 USC subsection 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, otherwise known as the Fair Use Act. This is the music. Every picture, every T, every I, everything, we claim fair use. And the only reason I'm saying that over and over again is because I always have a problem with Facebook or YouTube, some claiming that I'm using their stuff. Okay, let me get that off of there. Sorry for the late start this morning. We started 15 minutes late, basically due to the fact that I couldn't get motivated after taking pills. So it is what it is anymore, folks. So sometimes you got it, sometimes you don't. Okay, let's bring Mr. OG himself in.
Sometimes reptilians will hijack your lunch.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yep. They for your milk money too.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what gets real serious. What gets real serious? What gets real serious is when they come after your coffee.
Yeah, true.
Yep. That's war, then. That's war right there, buddy. Yes, sir. That's an act of war.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Well, I gotta apologize to everybody for last night for not doing the Into the Red Rabbit Hole, but I'm doing some research right now, some investigative work on something that I'm going to put out next Friday, and if I get a chance, I might put it out in two parts because it's such a lot of information. But it's concerning this whole FEMA, testing of the emergency broadcast system and all that, and basically the tones that they're using, and just everything in general is involved in it, and just what it might play or entail with people that have had the I won't even going to say the V word, if they've had the V word, the possible problems that they might have. And the only reason I'm researching that is because I had somebody ask me what I thought on it, and I have a lot of people ask me, my thoughts on things and stuff, just like I'm sure Dennis and G do all the time. It's not that I'm coming at it from a negative point of view automatically if somebody's had the V word. Okay, I don't want anybody to assume that or to think that. Okay, what it is basically the fact that I know from being in the military and working closely with special operations programs and stuff that I've seen things and heard things, and and just been very observant, let's say. Okay, so I know kind of what they've been doing to people for the last 60, 70 plus years, and that's programming. So, but that's going to be the show, and I hope it's going to be a good one. But I do have to think about doing it in two parts because I think it's going to be somewhere around 2.5 hours long, and I don't know if I can do 2.5 hours, guys. Sorry. No, meaning no offense, but 2.5 hours for me sitting in this hard wooden chair is like cruel and unusual punishment to an inmate. So,
My back will
anyways,
agree with you. My back will agree with you completely.
Today, I had a couple topics I wanted to go over. Yeah. Today, I wanted to go over a couple things with you guys and with everybody in the chat. And let me bring up the chat too, by the way. Good morning, everybody. Let's see here. I'm going to go through the list. Ozzy Sue. Good morning, Ozzy Sue. Good morning. And of course, we have G. And we got Cynthia. And let's see. And we got. Come on. Where is it? We got Tracy. We got Red Pill. Good to see you, Red Pill. We got Roger. Good to see you, Roger, my brother. Okay. And let's see. Anybody else? Anybody? Scott's Life Interest. Good to see you, Scott. Roxanne Delgado. Good to see you, Roxanne. Okay. I think that's everybody that's actually logged into the chat. Good to see you, Juno. Now already with our signals and stuff, just so you guys know. That's the other reason I couldn't come on last night either, was because the signal was being, I could tell it was being messed with. I don't know if it's due to the weather that we have right now currently, which is the whatever that tropical storm is, all that rain and stuff we're getting. But they're definitely already messing with the signal strength and stuff. So it's coming in and out. So if I lose you all, I'll try to come back on. If I can't come back on, I will definitely come back on tomorrow morning. Okay. So, and I might even bring up the topic that I wanted to talk about Friday up for tomorrow, since they're already being a pain in the butt to me. So, but anyways, but yeah, what I wanted to talk about this morning was I wanted to go over a couple different things. I wanted to go over the Megalodon first off, okay, otherwise known as the Meg, and then I wanted to go over possibly the whole alien type of connection to historical. I don't want to say historical creatures, but well, I guess you could call it historical creatures. Extinct creatures is probably a better way to do it. From the past, and what kind of influence the aliens had on them. Like, was the Megalodon always 65, 75 feet long with big sharp teeth, or was it a puppy? You know what I mean? I mean, is it because of their genetic enhancing programs that they've done that the Megalodon is so big and ferocious and such a terror, and basically strikes fear in anybody that swims in the oceans? And are they still around? Are the Megs still around? What do you all think about that?
Well, when you go back in time, you go back in time and look at history. prehistory, I call it. That's before actual written history. You go back into that primordial world, things were a lot bigger that way. I mean, we had a giantism in this world, and I think it was not only with giant human beings, but it was a lot of things, giant spiders, giant snakes. That's besides the dinosaurs. We know how big they were. Some of them were huge. There's always been that giantism in the world, and it's still with us in many aspects. I saw a picture the other day where a deer, I think, was found out in the Midwest somewhere with a chunk took out of him. I mean, a big mouth kind of a chunk out of this deer that no bear would do and no wolf would do. No predator I know of would have a mouth bite that big. I mean, that's something to think about. I think that giantism is still with us in many aspects. And where that came from is an interesting thing. Some people say it's at the doorway of the aliens manipulating DNA on this planet. Some people say it's the Nephilim thing, I think it's the Nephilim thing, but that's my own personal opinion. But some people say that it is an inherent thing, this giantism, and it's slowly left our world. But I don't believe it's completely gone. I believe there's a lot of things, and the Megalodon, it would be definitely part of that. I mean, it was one of the biggest things supposedly that ever swam in the ocean.
Right.
But if there's something bigger than a Megalodon, and there's rumors that there was something out there, the Bible called it the Leviathan, the thing, it had different names, but there's something even bigger than the Megalodon, supposedly. And there's that thing they picked up, that undersea sound they picked up years ago that they cannot figure out to this day what made this sound, but it went thousands of miles underwater. I mean, something that big would put out that big of a sound. That's scary to think about. What do you think, Geryl?
Yeah, the Meg, it's always been a fascinating subject. And if something's that big, just like say whales or elephants for us today, I mean, their babies aren't small. They're they match the size of the animal or creature that has it. So I imagine a Meg, its baby or offspring would be huge to start with compared to us.
Yeah, that's very true. And whales, the blue whale, which is the biggest one of all, supposedly the blue whale is the only thing right now that the largest thing supposedly swimming in the ocean. And the blue whale is huge when you think about how big it is. Even sperm whales are big enough, my gosh, but think about how big the blue whale is. It even dwarfs a sperm whale. You got some big stuff out there in this world, still to this day. And it's not just in Texas, everything's supposed to be big in Texas. It ain't just in Texas, my friend. No, sir.
Yeah, the thing that really amazes me with the Meg is that there have been reports of this being sighted currently nowadays along the Pacific coast on up into almost Alaskan cold waters, and around the Mariana Trench. It's also been spotted, which is along the Asian and coastal area there. How can something that big, possibly have survived, or without seeing sunlight, and B, what's it eating? Because something obviously that big has to eat an astronomical volume of food.
Well, look how big the giant squid is, and it was only seen just very recently for the first time ever. It was thought to be there, but it was finally photographed. And look how many years it took to even photograph that. The oceans are huge. You're talking about a lot of space there. The biggest part of the world that we're living on is ocean territory. Yeah, it stands to reason something could hide very well out there in the ocean if it wanted to. And they say that the megalodon is being its big size and everything. The megalodon could probably swim lower, could go lower on kind of the pressure of his body and all that than the regular sharks can. So anything like that could possibly lurk in the oceans, William. It's not that far fetched. There could be more than that out there. And look
Hmm.
at the coelacanth, which was only recently found out to exist, thought to have been extinct for millions of years, and it's still out there. There could be anything out there. It's like outer space, but only in our neighborhood. That's the oceans.
Yeah. 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 What
That's
do
what
you
I
guys
said.
think though when you think of
That's what I've said before.
when you
That's the
think of the
perfect
sea
place for.
life though, Dennis and G, what do you guys
I'm sorry, I
what do
lost you
you
on that
guys
part,
think
William.
about the possibility of mythical oh what do you think about the not only the Meg being a and stuff because we've had reports of all kinds of lizard looks giant snake
Well,
looking things the
over the years,
possibilities are endless when you're talking miles.
there have been many reports of the kraken being sighted. The giant octopus, the kraken. So you got a lot of different mythical beasts supposedly in the oceans, and like I've said before, the oceans are so vast. That's the perfect place for a UFO base. If I were going to be aliens and I were going to come to this world, I'd make my base in the ocean. You'd never find me for sure. But there could be anything out there, definitely. And like I said, there's even reports that, like I said earlier, there are things even larger, supposedly, than the megalodon that actually preyed on the megalodon. Think about that. That's big. That's very big. That's scary big.
Yeah, I, I don't even think I could fathom that. What about you, G?
Yeah, I mean, as big as they say the megalodon is, I mean, they find their teeth all the time, when they're digging up stuff, and people are finding megalodon teeth, and I mean, that's just a huge, huge creature. I mean, if you talked about the Mariana Trench, I mean, who knows what's down there? We haven't even discovered all the depths of that, and there could be channels off of it going to other places. And I mean, I'm studying right now the swamp in Africa, right in the middle of Africa, where they say they still have living dinosaurs that been sighted. So who knows what
Yeah.
exists out in this world? I mean, there's a vast wilderness in Alaska that's so huge that we don't even know what's in there. And they say there's living mammoths in there.
And look at those blue holes that are
Yeah,
supposed to be bottomless in the Caribbean and places like that. There could be anything in some of those places. The ocean is not just. Here's the interesting thing about the oceans, guys. The oceans have plenty of tunnel works inside of them too. Uh-huh.
yep. Yeah, there's a Meg tooth right there that G was just talking about. Look at the
Uh-huh.
size of that tooth. That tooth is like, wow. It's amazing how big
Uh-huh.
that thing is. It covers the whole entire hand.
Uh-huh.
That's a big tooth. That
Yep.
is a big tooth. That's some biting
So
there, buddy.
you still got a lot of giantism in this world. So and I've been doing some deep research recently on the giant spiders that people supposedly have seen. Like I
Mm.
said, this giantism is still out there, I think. And you know this well, I'm sure, William, that the Native Americans have a lot of legends about giant spiders and spider women and stuff that were associated with that. There's a lot of legends that they have pertaining to that. And then look at the giant snakes, the anacondas supposedly sighted in the jungles and stuff like that. They can eat a man. Think about that. That's a big
Yeah.
snake.
Yeah, you don't know what exists out there. I mean, just like the Loch Ness
Yeah,
monster. I mean,
the
we don't
Nihani
ever
Valley.
find it or find out where it goes, but yet there's sightings of something, some kind of serpent in Loch Ness.
Yeah, especially with giant alligators and crocodiles, especially the alligators grow very big. Some of them. I mean, those are huge, 15 footers, that's not uncommon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, true, very true. Man, they are messing with my audio big time, guys. So
Yeah,
I don't know what's going
you're
on.
breaking
It's
up.
got to
Yeah.
be the weather. It's got to. Anyways, I've been trying to upload some pictures too, but I can't get them to upload on the StreamYard. I don't know if maybe it's StreamYard that's having the problem today or not. So, but I also wanted to figure out if there was some type of possible alien connection to the gigantism type of a subject matter because of the whole genetics thing that they talk about with aliens, messing with not only our genes, but other species and intermixing
Well,
them. You know,
I've said this before on other
to
shows that just even talking about the government, we're a testing ground for the government. Society
something
is an
more.
experiment ongoing, and it definitely would be that way with the aliens. Alien technology. They were messing around with our DNA and the DNA of animals. Only it wouldn't stop with just us. It would definitely be animals, and maybe that's even where you get some of these cryptids from. Some of this stuff. That it's a possibility that there's been some gene manipulation going on, without a doubt.
Scientists, not recently, but scientists have always said we have a junk file in our DNA, that it's just a mixed match of all this stuff. They even say there's
Uh-huh.
alien ET DNA mixed in there. Well, what if that's really our DNA to start with and the building block, which makes us human or what we are evolved in today? Maybe that junk file was our original file and has been modified since then, either by extraterrestrials or government scientists. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, and then you got the government and you and alien connection. That's what I think. That's a lot about what that points to. That gene
I lost
manipulation,
you
that
guys.
DNA screwing around with our DNA. That's some of the experimentation going up. And like I said, we're nothing but a lab. We're just an experiment, ongoing experiment with them. And not just us though. That includes the animals on this planet. You know.
Oh, we lost them for a second. Yeah, I mean, if think if our original DNA was alien to start with, I mean, maybe that's the
Mm-hmm.
connection between us and the spirit world, or people have mind speak, with aliens and a communication with Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Maybe that original DNA links us to them.
That's the possibility. You got what you call the celestial link. The celestial link. That's a possibility that could be part of why they're doing that. They're trying to. We were the original format, you might say, and they're trying to, do something with that. That's another possibility. Absolutely.
Yeah. What if we were the original DNA for an alien species and they've corrupted their species so bad that they're coming back and trying to get the DNA for us to reestablish their lifeline or their species? Maybe that's why they're doing experiments and stuff on us and collecting
And
samples. We're the
you
only
got the
original source of their DNA still living.
You got the possibility too, Gerald, that this could be people coming from the future back into the past, trying to reseed the DNA that they've messed up in the future. Yeah, that's a possibility too. So you got different aspects of this to look at. But and like I've talked about the Nephilim before on this show, I think that was the part of the actual nefarious plan of the powers of darkness, whatever name you want to give them, was to actually screw up the DNA of the human race. They messed around with that. They tried to screw up the creation of the Creator. And that's not good when you do that. That's the ultimate blasphemy when you think about it. You mess around with a creator's creation. But they're doing that on an ongoing basis, not just whoever the aliens or demonic or whoever they are, along with the government, are screwing around with that. That's not good. It's like that old saying, you don't fool Mother Nature. You don't mess with that. But when you do, you create Frankensteins.
Well, I've said this before. The Nephilim, came down to Earth to lay with the women. And what if they were so perverted or so demonic that what if they mated with other things, other creatures at the time when they came down? Maybe they created the Mothman, the Dogman, Sasquatch by them being mating with certain animals that were back in the prehistoric or back in the biblical time.
That's true. That would tie into the Nephilim thing. Definitely, without a doubt, that you have that conditioning that they've done, and it could be that they were so corrupted they're trying to blend out their corruptness. Sort of water it down, kind of with the human race in that respect.
Yeah, so if you wanted to corrupt God's creation, which is us, I mean that makes sense that they would try to inject or alter our DNA any way they can,
Well,
whether
looks
it's
like
through
we
the Nephilim mating with the women on Earth or through samples or injections or whatever they can with our DNA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, and the technical problems continue, folks. Oh boy. I lost Dennis.
I still
I'm
see
here.
him.
I'm still here, I think.
Dennis, are you out there? Oh, I still see him, but I can't hear him.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I hear you.
That is too weird.
I hear all three. All
that
three
is
of us
too
are coming in on my end.
Weird. It's like watching one of them old silent movies. His lips are moving, but
maybe I'll get some cards to hold up here. Where's my cue cards at? I want to know where my cue cards are. Okay. I need one of those teleprompters like the president's guy. I need a teleprompter. Okay.
I hear him. He's back. All right. Okay. He's back. He's risen. Well, I mean, no, he's not risen, but you know what I mean. He's here.
He was abducted just for a little bit.
Yeah. Those darn aliens.
So going back to
I'm not gonna say
what would have
I'm
made
not gonna
that
say
species? What would have been the beginning of a megalodon? I mean, were they always in existence that big, or did they start from something else and this grew to that big?
Well, that's what I was talking about with the giantism. I think, things back in the old days, you had the dinosaurs. Look at the Tyrannosaurus Rex. That guy was big. Look at some of these other dinosaurs that were out there. They were huge. I think one even had like two brains, one in his head and one in his tail. These things were huge. So giantism was a thing on this planet at one time or another. I mean, it was the thing. And I think it's still with us in the genes too. Look at the people you're having born with 6 fingers and webbing and all this hand webbing and all this stuff going on. You still got something in the genes that's not supposed to be there, or it's been manipulated.
Yep, that's what I said. We have that junk file in our DNA that once in a while it gets loose and actually shows up in our main chain. And, that makes me wonder about the alien DNA and all the experiments on us. And then, the odds are eventually that, some of that DNA is going to come out in our main chain and show up.
Yeah, it's redundant. It pops up every once in a while, kind of a thing, in the cycle of life. And there's speculation that a lot of the dinosaurs were mutants, mutated things, that they might not have been an actual species. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of talk about that. And here's something. Think about, though, dear Geryl. I don't know if you know this or not. But do you know 90% of the dinosaur bones in museums are fake?
Yep.
They're recreated bones. They're not the actual bones. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. So there's not a whole lot known about dinosaurs, only a lot of speculation on the part of scientists and paleontologists on this stuff. It could be a lot more out there that we know about. Definitely.
Well, just to change subject just for a brief moment, just like the aliens they presented in Mexico or the ones previous to that, there was a mixed mash of bones and they used them wherever they could to fit the feature they wanted to show. They do that with the dinosaurs originally too. All the bones didn't necessarily match where they put them, but yet it looked good when they strung them all together to make whatever size or creature they wanted to make.
Yeah. It's too much speculation messes up science, because then when you get into speculation, you could be very wrong about things. You can go down the wrong road very easily, and science is very bad about doing stuff like that. Okay, but that's the human factor in it. Like I say, we're not perfect. Definitely, we're not going to be perfect in our accusations on stuff, but you gotta put that factor in there as well. Everything that they tell you, folks, is not gospel. Okay, that's which way you look at it. There's a whole lot of stuff out there that, like Geryl says, it's wide open. It's a wild card that can be played.
Like I said, I've been going down the rabbit hole of the swamp in the middle of Africa where, they've spotted dinosaurs, back into the 1800s, all the way into modern time for us. There's been a few reports of dinosaurs still living in this swamp, and it's so vast. It takes up like the whole Midwest of the U.S. if you'd put the U.S. on top of it.
Oh yeah.
Well, Makele Mbamba is the one in Africa that's been seen a lot, the long-necked dinosaur. In the U.S., it's more of a two-legged reptile that they're seeing in the United States and parts of Canada and Mexico and South America, along with the pterodactyls. So that's what they're seeing around our area. So that almost shows you the diversity of different locations and different types of dinosaurs that possibly could have been, So I'm still not set on the whole them being extinct thing.
Well, it's like I said before, William. I don't think somebody flipped a switch and every dinosaur died out in the same day. I just don't buy that. I think it went on for thousands of years, and I think the racial memory of man, with the dragons and the giant snakes and all that, the giant spiders. I think the racial remembrance of mankind is still referring back to these things that they saw. I believe they saw dinosaurs. I believe they saw giant snakes, because that's what folklore was telling us, that these things existed once upon a time with mankind. Although science tells you no, they died out long. But look at the mastodon. It did not die out till supposedly so many thousand years ago with the glaciers. and so with the saber-toothed tigers and all this stuff, and the dire wolf. You know, I believe we still have a memory of these things for a reason. You know, not just what science has told us.
Well, like I was talking about earlier, that swamp in Africa or the Marion Trench or even Alaska has that vast wilderness out there where they've seen mastodons, they've seen the big woolly mammoth. They've been spotted, but they don't have clear pictures of it, or they're so far away. But the thing is huge. So I mean, there's just so many places we haven't explored or can't get to. I mean, just like the jungles, where they're finding all the temples. I mean, there's ones out there that still haven't been discovered yet.
Oh yeah, and it's an interesting thought too when you think about who the dinosaur's first cousin next to kin is. The dinosaurs next of kin is the birds. The birds are still here. I mean, birds are still flying around. But it would not be that far fetched that there wouldn't be some smaller dinosaurs definitely still in existence.
Yep, there could be a lot of things out there we haven't discovered. It. I mean, just like there's been tribes in Africa or that we have never discovered. They've never seen white men, and we've never seen them.
Oh yeah, and that same thing with the in South America, you've got certain tribes down there that are very well hidden in the jungles. And look at the jungles. Okay, that's another vast areas of stuff that we have not explored. They're all always listen about this. Think about this. Every now and then they come up and say, "Hey, we found a lost city in the jungle." A whole city. Okay. They could if it takes you that long to find a whole city, think about, something on a smaller scale. Well, that's true though. If they do weaponize this stuff, we're in big trouble. That's what I think. I think a lot of the interest of cryptid by the government is the fact that they are definitely weaponizing some of this stuff or using it definitely, and their DNA wise and otherwise to their own advantage. To me, that would not be surprising at all. Yeah, there are raptor-like creatures also seen in Arizona. Little smaller raptors types.
Well,
You look at just look at your regular chicken, okay? Next time you got a chicken out of here, take a look at that. It looks like it's got a very dinosaur-like look and demeanor about it. No wonder they're related to dinosaurs. They still look at the chicken's head itself. It looks very reptilian when you look at it in certain aspects.
out east, there's been reports of actual like flying dragons they've spotted, not necessarily thunderbirds, but actually what it looks like a dragon.
Uh huh. Believe me, these people are still remembering this. This is getting passed down from generation to generation. But people encountered this, and that's one of the biggest lies that science is trying to push over on us. That no, people came along a long time after all this stuff. I just don't believe that. That's a bunch of bull.
Well, I mean, it could be a cosmic thing too. I mean, like the Akashic record or something. Maybe we're getting downloads of what used to be here and still is here. I mean, to give us reference.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a connection too. But like I said, what we said about earlier with the DNA manipulation, uh, that goes back a long time. Think about the island of Dr. Moreau when H.G. Wells wrote about it. Uh, this has been something that's been thought about for a long time, and it wouldn't surprise me a bit if they're not into that. Okay, that they're definitely deep into that. Who knows what they may be turning loose out there in the woods? You never know,
Well,
or what gets loose accidentally.
talking about Dr. Moreau, I mean, look at Plum Island. Look at the creatures that have washed up on the shores around Plum Island.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you can't tell me they're not doing experiments on humans, animals, all kinds of stuff. I mean, you have, the reports of super soldiers that have been coming from dogmen, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And I'm really 100% positive that I feel anyway, that the government is experimenting, whether it's humans or animals.
Hmm. But like I said, I think this planet
Oh
and the
yeah, they're
human
always
race,
experimenting.
this planet and the human race has always been a test field, an experiment in progress.
I thought William was trying to say something.
Go ahead, Will. You got the floor, William.
Well, I was just going to say that I was just going to say that they've been experimenting on and messing with for around. Um, there is a certain faction of knowledgeable about ancient history than what they lead us to believe. And I do believe that those are the ones of the prominent families that are in control of all the big businesses, all the big banks and financial institutions, and all the colleges that basically program us every day of our lives.
Well, yeah, that's always been that way, William, since the beginning of time. There are certain families. I was reading about ancient history the other day about some of the feudal systems that went on in certain countries, and there was always a ruling class. Okay, they always were at the top of everything, and everybody had to, cow down to them. They had to do what they said. There's always a ruling class, and I think certain families have been a tradition throughout time and history that they have done this. It's still ongoing. It's not stopped. This is a lot of people think this is ancient history, but it's not. It's still going on. The feudal system is still in place. And like we've talked about so many times before, we are the slaves to their system. The system they've set up, the system they've conditioned us for, the system they still promote. I mean, I got through listening to John Kerry the other day. I'm not going to get political here, but they're still pushing the envelope. You get rid of so many cows and kill off so many chickens. They're attacking farmland now. You do this and do that. They want us to end up eating bugs, okay? That's what it's going to come down to. They want us to end up eating bugs so that they can still eat their shakes, put it that way, because they're going to make sure, as the ruling class, that they're always on top. I call it the casino method. You take $500 into any casino anywhere, okay, and blow it all away, and you you win $100. You come back out, hey, I want $100. The house still gets your 500. Okay, they haven't lost anything. Okay, and that's the way these guys are. The rich is that way. They're always, no matter who's in power politically, they're going to come out on top. And that's why the Bible talks about the Antichrist, and I'm not going to get biblical on you today either. But it talks about him being in league with these financial barons. These guys that run the show behind the scenes, they're there. And that's where the true power in this world lies. They run everything. And they're always going to come out on top. That's just the way they got the system. That's why we're the slaves to that system. From
Yeah,
death, from
yeah,
birth
true.
to death. That's it.
They keep trying to experiment on us. They keep trying to manipulate us and control us. But, the only problem is we all have free will, and our bodies are so miraculous and so supernatural that we keep fighting them off, whether it's through our body and our DNA, doesn't, our body is set up to take out enemies, built within us, so if they try to inject, alternate DNA and cells in us, our body fights against that. And I truly believe
Well,
that that's what foils their plans all the time, that we're so resistant and so have so much free will that we just knock out their plans every time. They try to make us sick. They try to make us all this stuff, and we just are resilient as a human being.
you breed your cattle that way, G. You breed your cattle to make the best cattle you can, because that's in your advantage. It's not the cows. It's you. You're the one that's in, and you breed those cows. You manipulate their DNA to come out with the best cows and bulls that you want. That's what's going on here.
Yeah. Well,
That's very
then
true,
basically
Roger.
we are nothing more than a petri dish in a solar system, as far as
Yep. Ongoing experiment. They used to do that. Now listen to this, okay? I'm not making this up. They used to breed certain races of people with other races of people because they thought they could make better slaves. I'm not making this up. This is true. They went on with this a lot. They actually, back in the colonial days, they bred black slaves with Irish slaves, thinking they could come out with better slaves. This is a true thing, okay? I'm not making this up. This went on big time in Barbados, by the way, and in the Caribbean. They would breed these Irish slaves with the black slaves, hoping to come out with a better kind of slave. That's manipulation on the gene level, is it not?
Right.
If you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they've experimented with our DNA and tried to mix and match. I mean, they're even talking about it now where they've actually made an embryo without actually using human biological substance. They've created it completely in the lab.
And what surprised me in this, Earl, that certain aspects of government could take DNA and bring back certain species of dinosaurs and not tell anybody.
I'm sure. I
Look at
mean,
Jurassic Park.
they're already
Yeah, but
talking.
Jurassic
They're already
Park.
talking
Yeah.
about the woolly mammoth. They're going to try to do it with an elephant. They got the Tasmanian tiger. They're going to try to bring it back because they got DNA for it. And I mean, geez, that's not going to end well.
That's what I talked about the other day on Jessica's show about cloning. That's nothing but cloning is nothing but harvesting of humans to a certain extent. Okay, just like you harvest cattle or sheep or pigs or chickens. You're harvesting. What are you harvesting? And that goes along with a lot of this DNA stuff. If you're going to harvest, you want to harvest. You want the best harvest. You want to manipulate it to a better harvest to get what you want. That doesn't surprise me a bit. It really doesn't.
I mean, the only problem with manipulating DNA and cloning is that eventually, like we talked about earlier, that is going to mutate. So out of every so many hundreds or whatever experiments you do, you're going to have one that's going to mutate. So what's that going to mutate in? Is it going to be a supernatural being? Is it going to be a superhuman? Is it going to be evil? I mean, who knows what they're going to experiment with and what the results will be, because they don't know exactly what 100% what the results are going to be.
And here's another thing, Geryl. Science never takes into account the spirituality of these things. We know that everything has a spirit like that, but science doesn't take that into account. They could be messing with some dark spiritual forces here and never even realize it.
That's why I mean those mutations. I mean, we see it in human reproductive now, whether it's people without limbs or extra limbs or whatever happens during that mutation, you're going to have that in cloning too. You're going to have mutations that's just going to pop up because that's just the odds of life. That's just the way it happens.
Yep.
mean, obviously, they've never watched any sci-fi movies like we have when we were kids, where the scientists create something and then it goes wild. And it usually kills the scientist before it goes out into the public.
But this gene manipulation's been going on even back in the days of World War II with Joseph Mengele. That super soldier program we've talked about so many times. That's based in gene splicing and all that other stuff. Like the island of Dr. Moreau, mixing of humans and animals. But like I said, where does the spirituality of these things go, and what kind of a spirit are you dealing with? They don't take that into account. They ignore that. What kind of things you may be creating or opening the door to, for that matter, by doing this kind of stuff.
That's the thing. They don't have any kind of morals or any guidelines to go by. They just experiment however they want, and the results are whatever they are, and they don't care how they affect the people that they experiment on. That's the whole problem with this world and the government and the secret programs that they have.
Well, that was the big moral part of the story of Frankenstein. He tried to play God, and he created a monster that turned on him and destroyed him. That's what we're looking at today. That very same moral is playing out. We're playing God again. Okay? And that's never going to work out good when you do that. It's always going to turn out bad somehow or another. And that monster that you create can turn on you. I think the government probably realizes that, which is why they're so interested in demonology. They've created a monster that's coming after them.
And that's one of the theories on the super soldier program with dogmen, that, they were originally just like the Sasquatch, whether there was an indigenous person or, creation, or it was something brought here extraterrestrial, and then the government's trying to capture them. And that's why you hear about all these black ops teams trying to go out and capture dogmen or Sasquatch to turn them into super soldiers. Well, then I heard that they were so strong-willed that no matter what they did to them, they eventually always turned on them. And now they
that's why there are a lot of sightings of dog men in uniforms, Bigfoot with backpacks on. What's going on with that? I don't think Bigfoot went to Walmart and bought himself a backpack. Okay. Where did that come from? Okay, if that's true. And I don't think they always signing up dog men as soldiers. I don't know. We put them in the army. Something is going on here. Whatever it is, it's not good. And it definitely has that smoking gun thing to it.
So you never know when you're out there in the wilderness or out there on your expedition trying to find stuff, or just out hiking or whatever. You might run across a dog man that's just a normal species that's been here forever, an indigenous species. Or you might run across one of the experiments that went bad and escaped from the government.
Like the Napa Valley rebobs, supposedly, yeah.
And we had within the last year or so, we had a conversation with somebody that actually hauls across the country to different labs, animals, mainly monkeys, and to labs where they experiment on them, whether it's for the vaccines or whether it's other kind of mischievous things. We don't know. He wouldn't say, but we had a pretty good long conversation about that. And a lot of their experiments, at one time got loose because they had a truck crash and they couldn't recover all the animals. They couldn't account for all of them. A lot of their experiments, at one time got loose because they had a conversation about that. They couldn't account for all. A lot of their experiments, where the echo comes from. There it is.
I don't know what the heck that is. Do you hear that? I don't know.
Oh well.
Anyway, there's some weird stuff going on today. I think we're on a very interesting subject for somebody. But
yeah, well, genetic studies. That's why.
So yeah, just think about that on our highways and byways. There's unmarked semis that are hauling lab species that have either been experimented on or going to be experimented on.
Yep. I like that. Then of all places, Walmart would go in and fit in. Would be Bigfoot would fit in Walmart definitely. Yeah. Nobody probably paying me attention.
I said that the other day. You're going to be able to go to a Costco or Walmart supercenter and buy your own aliens, buy your own cryptids. You're going to have, just like we had sea creatures, for our sea monkeys in our day, the bacteria, but
Yeah.
these are actually going to be real little
Mm-hmm.
gremlins or little ETs that you'll be able to take home and
Grow your own. Sounds like when I pick up a CB radio. I wonder if anybody's around here with a CB radio. Oh, do they still have CB radios? Yeah, I think they do.
yeah, they do.
I got one in my truck. I just never use it. It's got a great sound amplifier on it, though. I can, holler at you from a long distance with it.
I still got 3 CBs upstairs just in case I ever need them. A lot of my
Yep.
family and friends still have CBs in case we need to be in contact.
Yeah. Breaker 19. The White Knight. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Well, William, where do you want to go now?
You still with us, sir? I don't know if it's froze up or what. He's not moving.
Oh,
There he is. Okay.
It's alive.
no, I'm still with you. I'm still with you. I'm still with you. I don't know, man. I'm having I'm having trouble just keeping us on the air, to tell you the truth. So, we might have to regroup tomorrow morning.
Yeah. We may have to fold our cards now and try
Like
again in another game.
somebody's trying to hack me again. Well, it looks like somebody's trying. Yeah, it just looks like somebody's trying to hack me again, is all it looks like. Oh, I don't get spooked, Derek. I get pisses me off.
Well, we hit the hour mark anyway.
Yeah, it could be solar flares. You're right, Derek. It definitely could be solar flares. Yeah, it's just I'm having to fight to keep us up and live right now. I don't know if it's like Derek says, solar flares or whatnot, but I'm hearing other people talking over top of us, and you don't get that with a normal StreamYard broadcast. So I don't know if there's setup that got mixed up today somehow, or if there's some type of technical problem with StreamYard, but man, it's getting bad.
Yeah, small fan prophecies kind of stuff going on here. Definitely.
The other side.
I think
somebody trying to communicate.
I think we're just going to have to try back again tomorrow, guys.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we'll just regroup for tomorrow. All
right.
Sorry, everybody, but we got to do it. See you all in the morning.
All right.